Welcome to the official Lawyer Minds podcast. Lawyer Minds is an ever-growing ecosystem for all the resources modern lawyers need. As the official Lawyer Minds podcast, we'll discuss everything from the latest happenings on the website to industry news. Get ready. Here we go. It's time to dive into the minds of successful lawyers. Here are your hosts, Tad Thomas and Mike Campbell.
Mike, we're just a few weeks away from AAJ, and you don't get to go.
I don't. I have a trial that week.
You know, I'm going to text you every day and rub it in how much fun I'm having in Vegas at convention.
You know, a few years ago, some buddies didn't come to our state convention because they had a trial set. And I was like, what a bunch of bozos. Like, what are you doing a trial that week for missing convention? Like the one time a year we get to blow off steam with our colleagues. And I'm a bozo, man.
You are. You know, it's the one thing on my calendar that takes preference to trial, and then everything else falls below trial. So if it's vacations, weddings, whatever, if there's a trial, I'm sorry, I'm trying the case, unless it's the week of AAJ convention. So that's the only exception.
And in my defense, I had the trial set, and then 2 weeks later, I had planned on going to AJ, and then they moved it back. Yeah. But
don't blame
I was
AAJ,
also,
man.
What's that? Don't blame AAJ. I won't blame him. Hey, you know what? I don't
blame COVID in Chicago.
I would have, the fact that they moved it earlier and the fact that they moved it to Vegas in early July where there's no humidity, it's going to be warm, but no humidity. I would have jumped all over that if I didn't have a trial that week. Nice. And I have a trial the week before. So it's fun times.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's actually kind of a historic week for AAJ. We're going to interview Navan Ward next. And Navan is only the second African-American president in the history of AAJ. And the last one was Rich Haley more than 20 years ago.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. It's been too long. And so, I'm right behind Navan on the ladder. So I've been able to see him working over the last 4 or 5 years, and, watch him getting ready for his year as president. So I'm real excited for him. And unfortunately, Toby's rotating out, and he's just been a great president, during a very tough time.
Yeah. And I think what Toby will tell you is, that was the right year for him. Yep. We interviewed him exactly a year ago. Is the right spot for him. It sucks.
Yep.
We didn't get to celebrate him more, but I think everybody's looking to Navan. I do.
Yep. So here is my interview with President-elect, soon to be president coming up in July, Navan Ward. All right. And we're here with Navan Ward, the incoming president of the American Association for Justice. Navan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Tad.
So excited about convention and you coming in as president. But before we get started, though, I like to ask all of our guests, tell me about your firm and your practice. Obviously, you're with Beasley Allen.
Yeah, sure. I've been blessed to be a part of this law firm, Beasley Allen, for the last 20 years. We do a variety of different plaintiffs' work in representing individuals from toxic tort or environmental law, from class action or fraudulent cases, all the way to product liability, single event injuries, and mass tort cases. And throughout the time I've been here, I've had the opportunity to represent clients in a few of those different sections. Currently, and for the last several years, I've been in the mass tort section where I've represented individuals who've been hurt by either pharmaceutical drugs or devices. And prior to that, I represented individuals who were either hurt by trucking accidents or incidents. And in a large part of my time was representing families of individuals or individuals who were victims of neglect in the nursing home setting. And so I've certainly had the ability to truly see various different clients, various different victims throughout the years, and being hurt in, unfortunately, many different settings and from many different companies or wrongdoers in different fields. And in many ways, that's, you know how it is, Tad. It kind of makes it very difficult to, to even live life seeing is many different things that can go wrong, from seat belts to anything dealing with a car, even messing around with toasters and having to tell your kids, hey, watch out for that, because this can happen or that can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bullet blenders exploding and things
exactly.
like that. Right. So you're the incoming president of AAJ, and so you're at least the second president out of Beasley Allen, right? Gibson.
Yes. I can't blame anyone else for my decision, because I had an opportunity to see my good friend and my law partner, Gibson Vance, as he went through the ranks and served AAJ as president back in 2011. And I was able to see firsthand how the various issues he and the rest of his officers and Linda Lipson, the CEO of AAJ, had to deal with back then. I was very active back then. I think I was the chair of the Minority Caucus at the same time, or around that same time. And so, it's one of the things that I remember distinctly is just this being one of the few times that he was able to have his family there, and his, at that point in time, teenage boys, be able to see him kind of operate in a business setting, dealing with a lot of very important issues on the political side, on the administrative side, on the educational side of the various aspects of what AAJ does. And that's something I'm looking forward to being able to share with my family as I get ready to at least go through the process as it relates to the conventions that we have coming up. But yeah, that was a good experience that I was able to have and be as informed as I could be when I made the decision to run back in 2015, 16 timeframe as one of the officers and moving up the ladder.
It seems like you've got a pretty good AAJ background and practice background for being president of AAJ. So, you had the opportunity to watch Gibson while he was going through the chairs. You had the opportunity to be chair of a number of different committees, including Minority Caucus. And you got a broad practice background, in a lot of the areas that AAJ has to advocate in: nursing home neglect and abuse, trucking, mass torts, products liability. So, I mean, do you feel like your background is really prepared you for your next year?
I certainly hope so. I mean, I think, I have a unique background in some of the things that I've been able to do, but I think everyone's background really helps them to have their perspective, and their perspective matters on whatever issues that we will face. I think that even, I did a short stint before coming to Beasley Allen at an insurance defense firm, and really being able to know some of the issues involved as an attorney at that firm that defense firms or defense attorneys have to deal with, helps in my perspective as we deal with various issues here at AAJ. And of course, when I got to Beasley Allen, I immediately became a member. This was one of the things that they wanted me to do: become members of both the local, state, and national trial lawyers organization, so I could really get a good networking and good feel for the different things that the trial lawyers have to be responsible for, the trial lawyers have to know about. And be honest with you, one of the first projects I had when I joined the firm. And actually, I remember the first two projects I had when I joined the firm. It was sitting waiting on my desk, Mississippi bar application. I had to fill that out, take it, because, the laws were becoming so restrictive in Alabama regarding victims' rights in the civil context, that we knew that we'd have to, move our tentacles out, wider, across the country to be able to help individuals, because of the effect of, either, bad judicial rulings or just bad laws, arbitration, a lot of things like that were going on. And those, and that same sentiment was certainly echoed in the halls of AAJ, in the halls of, at that time it was ATLA, and the halls of Alabama Association for Justice, and at that point in time, Alabama Trial Lawyer Association. And so a lot of things that I did early on in Beasley Allen mirrored the same principles and goals that AAJ has had. The second project I had was to go to, and it actually happened to be a arbitration hearing, or some type of town hall on arbitration, where it was essentially my goal to be there and be supportive of the council members that were opposed to arbitration issues. And so, it's that perspective certainly shapes, coming full circle, what the various different things that we're still dealing with here at AAJ in protecting our clients' rights. And hopefully it will shape my perspective in a positive way, to be able to help, again, continue the good work AAJ has already been doing in that vein of protecting our clients' rights.
So tell us, how did you get involved in AAJ to begin with? And, what led you to want to be president of AAJ?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, when I joined the firm, it was part of just one of the things they offered, one of the things they encouraged as far as being part of AAJ, knowing that, we were, doing a nationwide practice. It was important to know people from Louisville, Kentucky, to be able to call and get, helpful information on different issues that I may have in Kentucky, or even better yet, something over my head to be able to call, a Tad Thomas in Louisville to send them a case that I'm not able to handle. They knew that it was important for me to be able to go. And I think a deposition college is one of the first events I went to. And I remember, thinking that I had a pretty good handle on it, at least on the defense side, but seeing it for the first time in that setting, on the plaintiff side, a week-long, exercises and interactions, it seared in my head very quickly how important something like AAJ was. And of course, you get a chance to meet people and network with them, and you learn, so much again, as a young attorney, or any stage of attorney that you may be in practice. You learn so much from just knowing people, and of course continuing, attending, and you can't help but feel compelled to want to, at some point in time, start being on committees. And since you're on committees, at some point in time, start leading these committees. And at some point in time, you're leading 2 or 3 committees. And at some point in time, you become, I really do think ignorance can sometimes be bliss, because you at some point in time become aware of even more threats or more obstacles that your clients in our practice begin to have, or already have, and you may not be as aware of it, again, just on the regular trials and tribulations that you have as a trial lawyer, and then feeling some responsibility to to do something about that, and not just leave it to someone else. And so, all that combined just made me, then of course, seeing my law partner, Gibson Vance, go through it and seeing some of the issues that he had to deal with. It made me want to step up even more in my leadership and whatever resources or talents, what little I have, to try to continue pushing this organization, or helping to push this organization in the right direction, because I truly, as tough as this job is, I truly, when I do get a chance to sleep, I sleep well, knowing that we're on the right side, and I want to be able to help as long as I can. And it's very concerning to know that the bad guys are out there trying to make laws to protect and insulate wrongdoers from being held accountable. And that's particularly concerning because that could easily be any of us, where a trucking company who doesn't hire the right people, or hires people who they know have a long track record of accidents and drug use to get behind a 18-wheeler and crash into the back of our loved ones or ourselves. Not to mention all the other different examples, nursing homes where, again, arbitration is rampant there, and not being able to hold those nursing homes accountable for mistreating any of us, loved ones or ourselves. So, I mean, it's one of those situations where, I just feel compelled to want to help in any way, shape I can, a form that I can, in order to make sure that that all of us are able to still have those protections under the 7th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, the place we happen to all live in and should love and appreciate.
So being in your circle, I've kind of seen some of the things that you've done over the last several months to kind of start getting ready, for your year as president. But can you talk to us about some of the goals that you have and your aspirations for this coming year?
Sure. I mean, as being an officer, you certainly have a 4, 5, 6 year track. You have a good opportunity to see more of what opportunities and what challenges lie ahead for the organization. And you have the opportunity as an officer to take the lead of the current president and be able to run with it and be able to effectuate a lot of those goals that each president has. And so, and coming up to my year, you certainly see a few goals that you have that are goals that, quite frankly, are placed before you, whether you want them or not, that are kind of baked in because of, again, it's necessary for the organization. We just come out of a crisis, a national pandemic, a global pandemic. And so our membership is the lifeblood of our organization. And like all organizations, we suffered some membership loss. And so one of the first goals that I have is certainly to continue our efforts to offer more benefits to our members that are helping them as they come out of the pandemic, that are providing value to both their firms in and of themselves, as well as their clients, in order to encourage them to if they have stopped being a member, to come back and participate, and to have more tools in their tool belt moving forward in a post-pandemic world, particularly in the legal profession. AAJ is one of the only organizations that truly supports pro-civil justice candidates and politicians, regardless of what side of the political aisle they're on. We support politicians and encourage allied organizations to support those that are protecting, again, our the clients that we serve, the victims of wrongdoers, and being able to continue to push and help in that capacity as we come to the 2022 elections. So those are baked in the fibers of any goals that I'd want to be able to have, because quite frankly, that's what any incoming president would have to be a part of. AAJ is coming in during a special time where we were able to celebrate our 75th anniversary, and along with the celebration of the 75 years that we've been in existence, there are certainly a lot of things that we want to do, and throughout this year to be able to highlight that, to be able to honor that, to be able to acknowledge and give homage to those who have paved the way and have worked through difficult times throughout our 75 years to keep us going and making us, quite frankly, as strong now than we ever have been before, which is important because we're now in probably one of the most difficult times that we may have been, not only in the legal profession, but in the country overall. And along those same lines, another one of my big goals is, it shouldn't be lost upon anyone if you're looking at this podcast, if you're hearing it. I will be the second minority to have held a position here as the president of this organization, and certainly not lost upon me that the last minority president was over 23, 24 years ago. And so I applaud AAJ because in short order, you have one, you have two, you have three, maybe coincidence, but as we have more that are coming through and more that are on the current ladder now of leadership, I think AAJ's headed in a really good direction regarding acknowledging the talents and the intellect of all of its members. And in that capacity, I certainly, one of my personal goals is to, have what I would term a diversity pledge to act, in hiring, retention, and promoting of minority lawyers. Many of our members certainly can come here and they can look on the dais starting in July and see at least 3 minorities on the stage, and look around in leadership overall and see many minorities in leadership on the board of governors or in the executive committee, or in other aspects of the organization. And that's something to pat yourself on the back for. But when you go back home to your own organizations and your own law firms, that's something that I'm hoping to take diversity to another level and encouraging our members to take that diversity mindset back home. And when you are looking to hire a law clerk or an associate, or looking to promote in any way, shape, or form that you promote members of your firm, to have a mindset of having in that applicant pool qualified minorities to choose from, whether you choose to hire or not on a given on any given time frame, but to always have that mindset of having minorities in there, because I've learned from my own experience at my own firm that being able to have different people, different backgrounds in your firm only makes you stronger, only makes you be able to represent the various different clients that you have better. It only makes you or allows you to be able to represent in front of juries that are made of people of different backgrounds. It only makes your presentation that much stronger when you're able to have people that the members of the jury are able to relate to, members of the jury or judges are able to, just have a natural understanding on subtle things. So it's a good business move, quite frankly, that this pledge to act will hopefully inspire. And of course, once our members either start hiring more minorities, then we also, part of this diversity pledge to act, will be offering resources that our firms can utilize in order to essentially look at retention policies, to learn from, to encourage minorities to feel at home, to want to stay, to want to be at that particular firm for 20 plus years, because they have made it a safe place for you, as opposed to, okay, I've hired you, now I'm going to pat myself on the back, I'm going to walk right past your office every day and not say anything because I've already, done a good thing for you, and go into the next person's office and laugh and chuckle and go to lunch with, go to dinner with, go golfing, and isolating the minority or minorities that you have brought on. We don't want that to happen. So retention policies are things that we want to offer resources for, so you can see, so you can understand better how to get the best and most optimal use of good attorneys that you have in your office of all backgrounds.
Yeah, you mentioned minority caucus. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, so those in a nutshell are my goals for the upcoming year, and I'm happy to have gotten really good support from my officers, such as the incoming president-elect that people on this podcast I'm sure already know. His name's Tad Thomas, and others, to be able to support those goals.
You were talking about Minority Caucus, and obviously it's a group near and dear to our hearts. Some of our best friends in the world, we met through AAJ. And so we're finally getting back to an in-person convention. Unfortunately, I had to move from Chicago, which you were looking forward to as well as me, to Las Vegas. But talk to us a little bit about the convention coming up and, kind of things that we can expect.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, I practice out of the Atlanta office of Beasley Allen. So I've been here the last few years. Beasley Allen is based out of Alabama, but my heart is in Chicago. That's where I'm from. And when I first made the step to become a parliamentarian, I marked off Chicago as being the location for this convention and me being sworn in. So my close family members would be able to easily attend. Again, the pandemic has caused all of us to have different plans. And so for the safety and certainty of having this upcoming convention, it has been moved to Las Vegas, where the safety guidelines have been proven and have shown to be worked for the conventions that have gone out there. And we're excited. Most importantly, well, that's certainly important, but also just as important is an opportunity for after 13, 14, 15 months of being in isolation, for us to finally be able to come back together. And our current president, Toby Milrod, has had a full year of virtual events, running the organization from a virtual standpoint. And he's done an absolutely great job. Our AAJ colleagues have done a great job in running the organization from a virtual standpoint. But we as lawyers, particularly trial lawyers, are social. And one of the big benefits of being part of AAJ is being able to come to these conventions and, again, meet people from Louisville, Kentucky, and all around the country to better help them both personally and professionally. And so Las Vegas certainly is going to now give us, again, that opportunity to do that, to meet not only old friends, but probably more importantly, new friends, and new people who we can learn from, new people who we can, be able to share and have an exchange of ideas for a lifetime, to be able to ultimately help our clients. And so I'm looking forward to Las Vegas. I'm hoping that, our members will be able to come out. I definitely know that, there's still some COVID concerns. That's why you definitely want to get vaccinated. And quite frankly, we're talking about July here. So some of us may need to get that booster shot if we've been vaccinated, 7, 8 months ago, however long you've had an opportunity to be vaccinated or whatever the case might be. But, we also have, for those who legitimately have concerns, a virtual option to be able to still attend in a virtual capacity. And so we're gonna definitely look to continue where we left off, and just celebrate the fact that many of us have lost a tremendous had suffered tremendous losses over this last year, but we're still here, and then that's something to celebrate, and I'm looking forward to being able to do that out in Las Vegas.
The community part of AAJ is one of our 3 pillars, and it's one of the best parts of the organization. Being in person, to see people coming up in 6 weeks is going to be really exciting. I'm really happy to be going. Convention is pretty much the reason I'm a member of AAJ, or active member anyways. I became a member in law school, but as far as getting active, it was because I went to a convention. And so what would your suggestions be for people who are going to be in Las Vegas? It's going to be their first AAJ convention. What advice would you give them to really jump in with both feet and get acclimated to our group?
Take advantage of the resources that the convention has to offer. One of the things that I guarantee you that you will find is that people, the attorneys, the AAJ staff colleagues that we have, the other affiliate members that we have that are all in attendance, are as nice as can be. They're going to want to plug you in. They're going to want to make sure that you have the best experience possible, because we know if you take advantage of AAJ, particularly our conventions, you'll likely be a lifetime member. It's hooked to too many of us. I think even you just referenced how much of an impression the conventions have made on you. And so get the calendar, get the schedule. Look for some of the caucuses, which are a great way to, get plugged in and to know what's going on. So if you're a young lawyer, the New Lawyers Caucus, if you are a woman, we have the Women Trial Lawyers Caucus. If you're a minority, there's a Minority Caucus, which is, again, one of the organizations, or at least the meetings I went to, that really made me feel like I was at home and had my own room in a bigger house of family members. And at the LGBTQ caucus, that's one of our newest caucuses. They're going to have their meetings and they're going to have their events, and you'll find out what other events to go to. Course education, look through to see the different type of educational opportunities that they will have. And one of the bad things about being an officer, and one of the things I am looking forward to once you guys finally kick me off today, is having more time to attend the awesome CLEs that we have, particularly during convention. This time's a little bit easier because the CLEs will be offered virtually, so you can be in Vegas and you can check out the in-person events, but you can also check out the educational events, and not only in Vegas, but when you get back home. they offer tremendous amount of help, again, to you personally, professionally, and all the other ways in between. So look at the schedule, look at the caucuses, look at the education issues. You definitely want to attend the opening. You definitely want to attend the new lawyers party, the minority caucus groove, the president's party on Wednesday. There are going to be plenty of opportunities, again, to meet people who can literally change the trajectory of your career, the trajectory of how well you represent your clients. You just have to take advantage of it and make sure you have that first time member badge on. And just wait and see how many people come up to you. And there's also, I think, a new member reception that you want to be able to go to that kind of helps acclimate you. I mean, I know coming to one of these conventions, any convention, can be overwhelming, but there's something different about AAJ's conventions that, again, when you take full advantage of it, it's like none other.
Yeah. Usually there's a first time attendees reception to first day. So, yeah. Well, Navan, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. I'm looking forward to Vegas and seeing you in person again, man. And, standing up next to you when you get sworn in as president, in July.
So. I tell you what, if I could take a moment of personal privilege, iron sharpens iron. And as I've gone through this officer track, both the officers before me and the ones that are standing by my side and wait, you see them work, you see them do the things that they do for the organization. And that, keeps things in perspective for you. That helps and motivates me even more. And there's certainly not been another officer on this track that has inspired me more than Tad. And different people inspire you different ways. And not only Tad's prowess in the courtroom, but his business acumen and the way that he generally carries himself. It certainly is inspiring. It certainly is something that, again, I take something in multiple things away from many people. And I hadn't told you before. I just want to tell you now, thank you for all the things that I will be borrowing from you and trying to emulate one day when I grow up.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words. And, we've been fortunate from Gibson Vance on down. We've had some great presidents that, we've been able to sit on the dais with. And, we got a great officer crew. So top to bottom. Well, man, see you in Vegas.
Sounds like a plan. It's a date.
So Navan and I talked about him. Gibson Vance was president out of his firm. I guess Gibson was president in 2011. So the year that Gibson ran a contested election for parliamentarian was my first convention ever. And it was up in Toronto. So it was really cool. Maybe that's why I was kind of partial to contested elections, because that was the first year I'd never seen it without a contested election. And so seeing Gibson, hitting all the rooms and shaking all the hands and having a party and all that stuff. I still remember the first time I met Gibson. So, Navan has the advantage of having been through all that and been through Gibson's presidency and his years going up the ladder. So, he's definitely well-rounded and ready for the experience.
There's nothing wrong with choice, and it kind of shakes cobwebs out, or knocks cobwebs out, and keeps people on their feet. And you're right. He has a really good opportunity to reflect back on, okay, how did Gibson do all of these things? So, he can draw from that experience. He's not going into it completely blind. I know you guys spend so much time on the exec that you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. But my guess is like, while you're on the exec, it's sort of like drinking through a faucet. And then when you're the president, it's like a fire hose gets turned on.
Yeah. And it kind of starts for Navan like maybe 2 months ago, because you got to start getting ready. And, you got to start making your committee appointments, and you're making your calendar, and you're doing all your plans. And, so it definitely started ramping up. And what I had forgotten about Navan was, and he and I talked about this, I've always seen him as a mass tort lawyer. He's on a bunch of the really big PSCs. He's very successful in the mass tort world. But before that, he did trucking cases and nursing home cases and individual cases. So like all of the stuff that AAJ has to advocate on and the things we go to the Hill on, like right now, like he's actually been practicing in all those areas. Right now, trucking litigation and truck accidents, interstate motor carrier is a huge issue that we're working on. Nursing homes and forced arbitration is always an issue that we're working on. Products liability and putting out safe products and being able to hold manufacturers accountable, like we talked about in our last episode. He's actually covered all these. And so he's got a breadth of background in his practice that helps him. I think will help him and serve him well in this next year.
Yeah. And you can't replace that, right? I mean, you can't make up for just knowing what it's like to fight in the trenches on some of those cases and say, okay, what do my guys and gals need what do they need me to do in this area to help them out? And it's going to be very exciting to see how he leads the organization. The organization is in good hands. Obviously, he's got a guy under him we're not so sure about.
They were going to just probably screw it up. Luckily, the guy after him is pretty good too. And then, the line was all right.
All we can hope for.
Yeah.
We just, that's all we can hope for is that, we just get past that 1 year where you're president without, the whole thing falling apart. But,
the good thing, AAJ staff, they don't let you screw up. They don't let you fail. If you screw up too bad, they just kind of move you to the side and they just keep plowing on because they know what they need to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And so,
they're great.
So no matter how bad I screw up, I think the organization will be in good hands. We hope.
And I know we've had a staff member on before, but it bears repeating that these very good organizations, I'm not trying to diminish your work or Navan's work or Toby's work or anybody's work.
But you're getting ready to.
I will say that, having people like Linda and the staff she has, I mean, it's like a rock, right? And it's like, okay, look, we can take the waves get a little choppy here. We can have a captain of the ship, but we've got a good ship, and so
I may ask Linda to see if she'll come on the podcast. I don't think we're to that level yet. I think she's above our pay grade and the quality of this programming, 100%. But I'm going to ask.
100%. Yeah. Don't tell her I'm on here. I mean, I guess she could probably come on if it's just you, but I think she's probably, going to wait and see what happens. If we make it to like 50 episodes, maybe we can shoot for that. But
I mean, I know she's on her speed dial, and trust me, we're not there yet. But I'll ask.
We're not there.
Well, yeah.
All right.
I'll ask. We'll see if we can get her on. So,
yeah, love it.
All right, Mike. Till next time, man.
Sounds good, brother.
That wraps another episode of the official Lawyer Minds podcast. Please consider subscribing to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. Explore the other content Lawyer Minds has to offer and engage with us on social media. Your feedback on the show and ideas for future shows is always welcomed. See you next time.